Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker. As the song says that you're probably hearing about this time of year, it is the most wonderful time of year. That means that you've got a lot of options, a lot of sales, a lot of promotions for teas, which can look like a good price, but are they a good deal? And that's what we're going to be talking about and exploring as we taste teas together. We have a green tea from Mighty Leaf. Mighty Leaf is one of those that this time of year especially has lots of special offers. So let's go ahead and look at this tea. If you're joining us for a tasting, we've got our tea ready to go. If you are tasting along with us, you've got some equipment here that I hope you've prepared so that you can prepare your tea as we prepare it. You can share your taste experience with us by leaving some comments. If you are wanting to get into tastings, which I encourage you to do, of course, a couple of places you may want to go right up above. There's the future episodes page where you'll find the upcoming teas that we're going to be reviewing. Beside that, there's a how to taste link, a page for that, so that you can go and kind of look at what kind of equipment you may want, what kind of information about teas, what is involved in the tasting process. So we're going to go ahead and get this tea started. We got our water here, which we brought to a near boil. You can bring yours to a boil. Don't let it boil for too long and let that temperature drop down quite a bit. For green, especially for Japanese greens, temperatures are usually 140-ish, 140, 160 is what you'll hear. We got our spoon, regular old teaspoon rather. And I'm filling up pretty much the whole spoon here. If you were to kind of press it out, you'd see that's a pretty flat level, filling the whole space of the teaspoon. So we're going to toss that right in. We got our water here ready to go. We're using a Gaiwan, and this is a Gaiwan from Grand Teas. It's about an 80 milliliter. It's a nice small one for sampling teas. You know, if you're tasting a lot of teas, you can actually, especially if you go through a series of teas in a short period of time, you can make you crazy. So sometimes you just want a little taste of the tea. Now, which we're going to let this one, we're going to set this aside for a while, let it steep. Actually, because this is a Japanese green, I'm going to leave the lid off. I'm going to let any excess heat rise off of there a little faster. So let me set that aside for here. And let's talk a little bit more about this tea and give it kind of a fuller introduction. As we said, this is Mighty Leaf's Sencha Deep Roast. 4 ounces offered for $18. We know this is a Japanese green. The information on the website, Mighty Leaf's website, the product page, talks about how this one is as it says, a deeply roasted. There are different levels of roasting or steaming that are involved with Japanese green teas. So, and as we taste teas, we're going to be looking at 3 different areas that you may want to make notes on of your own, kind of get your own experience of tasting teas, talking about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. So we're going to get right into the dry leaf here. First off, aromas that I'm getting kind of an asparagus type note. A group of tea bloggers got into or coordinated together and went through exploring, and we're continuing to explore rather, different green tea flavors, vegetables and other elements that show those characteristics in a lot of green teas. One of those was asparagus, and we simply chopped up some asparagus, put it in water, and let it sit for a few minutes, and the natural juices and smells and aromas of the asparagus came out, and you could taste that in the water, which was an interesting and very useful way to pull out different flavors from a green tea and say, there is an asparagus element, there is a green bean element, and be able to do that. So it's very educational, very worthwhile to do on your own if you have that chance. We are also going to be looking at the shape of the dry leaf. Let's pull out a few of these. Now, we're getting some dark, rich emerald green colors, we see. One of the other things that you'll notice about senchas and teas like this is how finely they are rolled. Are they needle-like? Are they very fine type filaments? I mean, as far as needle as in not needle of the tea leaf or tea bush per se, but needle as in thin, sharp shards like a pin or a needle. And what you're seeing are some of that. You're seeing some pressed pieces, and you are seeing some longer needle type pieces. These are wider than some others that I've seen, although not much wider. You are getting some dark, rich colors. You also get here and there the occasional lighter piece that looks like it's actually a piece of stem or twig, but still delicate because of these are more tender pieces of the tea bush. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. You're getting little particles which are a quarter of an inch or so, and you're getting other more intact pieces that are half an inch or longer. So that kind of touches on what our dry leaf looks like. We're going to go, yeah, that looks like it's had plenty of time. That's released plenty of color there in our liquor. So we're going to go ahead and pour this off. Now, if you are new to using a gaiwan, I do recommend using gaiwans. Gaiwans can allow you to get more teas, steepings out of a pot, or per gaiwan, I should say. And to use the gaiwan, you're simply going to angle the lid over towards the cup a little bit, so that it lowers into the bowl a little bit more. That gives you an opening here on the top side, which will be the top side when we pour. And so we're going to do it just like so. Index finger and thumb on the edges. I'm sorry, middle finger and thumb on the edges, index finger on top. And we pour thusly. You'll get a few leaves that may come through, but if you've created a small enough, narrow enough opening, not many leaves will get through. So that gives us our pour there. And we set that aside for just a few minutes, let that kind of cool as we talk about our wet leaf. So let's go ahead, take a look at this, and we're going to look at a few things about our wet leaf. A couple of smells I'm pulling off. I'm getting a little bit of a matcha smell, and I try to avoid saying that one tea smells like another tea, but in this case there is that kind of like a green tea ice cream. If you sometimes you'll see a green tea powder sprinkled on some breads or snacks or desserts. There is that kind of green tea powder smell, which, by the way, the green tea powder is usually sourced from Japan, so you would not be surprised. Other things that you're getting, I'm getting kind of like a type of oyster shell, or like a clamshell, oyster shell type of salty, mineral-y sea smell. A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of kind of a light spinach, but still asparagus in there. So those are the primary elements. Now, when you look at your wet leaf, let's talk about that for a moment. Again, you are getting pieces that are not complete leaves. In many cases, you are getting sections of leaf. So we'll set that there. Actually, let me put it on here on the lid. We'll look at those. You can zoom in more closely. Look at that. Colors lightened up a little bit. You are getting some more like a British racing green type color there. Getting a little piece. There's about a half inch or so of like a stem or main thick vein of a leaf there. Yeah, there's another piece there, another little stemmy vein type piece. Sometimes, depending on how the leaf is treated, especially with like a gyokuro there, those stems are it's rolled in such a way that you try to avoid a lot of the stem pieces. But we're finding some here, and sections, portions of leaves. Now, we're going to move right along then and talk about our liquor rather. And with our liquor, we're going to look at our color there. We've got a golden green, almost a light pea, a watered down pea soup look of the color there. Give this one a smell. Again, I'm getting a little bit of I'm getting a smell that makes me think, how should I say? This one is like it's been aerated, like it's got some. The leaves have been exposed to some air, so it doesn't have that fully fresh, sweet smell that some have. Let's give it a smell here, or a taste rather. Strong astringency, especially the aftertaste has got that astringent bite to it. Stronger astringency than some others that I've come across, almost with that lingering type of metallic feel, like you've been sucking on a quarter actually. So that's a little off-putting. The aromas there that we've got, though, let me talk about that for a minute. The aromas don't really bring a lot of punch to it. The aromas actually get overpowered by the astringent bite of it. You do get a little bit of that asparagus in there, maybe a trace of that clamshell, oyster shell type. The body, it does have some body, although it doesn't feel, the astringency really kind of overwhelms any brothy type feel. There is some brothiness, but you're left with so much dryness in your mouth, it's hard to appreciate the brothy texture. So when we look at this tea as a whole, everything from the dry leaf that we looked at, which we felt had some color to it, but also kind of wondered about the fineness of the leaf, the needle-like texture, and the aspect of how it was rolled, gave us an indication that this one perhaps either was roasted too much or was not the finest leaf. We went over to the wet leaf, and not a lot to say there. Just not very strong aromas in there either. And then you get into the liquor, and you didn't have a very strong aroma. You had a very rough and tough kind of astringent bite to it that kind of overpowered any aromas or any texture of the body. So that's why we gave this tea an 83. This is the kind of tea this is why Walker Tea Review exists, that we can look at teas, we can know which ones fit what we expect, that we can find teas that are stronger or weaker than others, and so that's why we looked at this tea today from Mighty Leaf. It's their Sencha Deep Roast here on Walker Tea Review.